If you're watching this video, I assume that you're going to have another C-section or you are going to have your first planned C-section. So welcome, this is the video for you. I'm Cherry, a mom of 3, and I've had 3 C-sections. I'm here to share with you all of the things that you can expect in the countdown leading up to that day that you're gonna have your planned C-section. So without further ado, let's get into the video. If you're doing a planned C-section, that means you set a date with your provider or your doctor to get the baby out on that day. That is what a planned C-section is. And the first thing that you can expect is at your 34, 35, or 36 week appointment. Really depends on your pregnancy and your provider. You are going to talk with your doctor about when you're gonna have the baby. I think this is the biggest pro to having a C-section is you get to know at least a week or 2 in advance when your baby is actually coming. Because when you have a vaginal birth and you just go into labor and all of that fun stuff, you can predict when the baby is coming, but you can't set it in stone. Not the way Mother Nature works. But in this case, when you're having a planned surgery, a planned C-section, you get to choose the date with your doctor. It's not like you can just go in the calendar and pick out a date and be like, I want to have the baby on this day. No, it doesn't work like that. If you've heard that, it's not true. The way that you pick a date for the birth of your baby in a C-section is through the hospital. The surgeon that's going to do your surgery is going to look at the calendar at the hospital, look at his schedule. He or she is going to determine what date, depending on the availability of the hospital for the operation room. Sometimes some doctors might do it like only on Thursday because that is the day that they're in, or sometimes they might do it 2 days before the holiday because you're about to have the baby on Thanksgiving, which was my case. So they want to do it a little bit early. It really is just a case by case, as everything is really in life. But for a planned C-section, that's the first thing to expect is you and your doctor are going to come up with the birth date of your baby. The next thing that you can expect is getting a call from the hospital to register for your stay. If you've already been at that hospital before, maybe you had your kids there already, you don't have to register. But if you're at a new hospital, because I went to a new hospital for my 3rd C-section, I got a call from the administration office and they had to walk me through registering online, which was very, very helpful. I didn't need to go in. But in your case, if you're a repeat patient at that hospital, you don't need to register again. But if you're going to a new hospital or this is your first time to that hospital for a C-section, any type of surgery really, you're going to have to register for that hospital. That's also expected for when you're going to have a vaginal birth too. Keep that in mind. In my experience, this next step is what I've gone through each time that I had a baby for a C-section. Obviously, I only had 2 planned C-sections and the other one was an emergency C-section. But in this case, my 2 planned C-sections, this was the same thing that happened. Is your doctor is going to either brief you in your last appointment or call you on the phone to brief with you about what to expect when you come in for the hospital, what you need to do, how long you cannot eat for, protocols and routines that you need to follow prior to coming into the hospital for the C-section day. He or she will also mention what to expect when you come in for the C-section. It really depends on your doctor or your provider. That's how it usually goes. That is your chance to tell them any of your concerns. Make sure you get anything last minute out while you can. This next one is, there's different protocols for different hospitals, but in my experience, this is how it goes. Before your C-section, 6 to 8 hours prior, you need to fast. So if you're gonna have your C-section at 8 a.m., you don't wanna eat past midnight. Or if you're gonna have your C-section at 10 a.m., you don't wanna eat past 2 a.m., like something like that. Liquids are okay to drink, but I would check with your provider first before you start drinking any liquids. You're going to have a major abdominal surgery. They need to take precautions, and fasting is one of the ways they do that. Make sure you treat yourself to a really nice meal the night before you have your planned C-section so that you can remember that you ate a really good meal before you have to fast. And then this last thing is you can go into your planned C-section feeling prepared as you can be, but just know that it can go any way, shape, or form. Basically, expect the unexpected, because even though it's a plan planned C-section, even though you were briefed on what to expect, every birth has its way of working. We can prepare as much as we can for things, but sometimes they don't turn out the way that we hoped. That's okay. I am living proof of that. I had 3 very, very different outcomes from my C-sections. I had 3 very different experiences. All of them came out successfully. I have my 3 beautiful children here in the world. There is no right way for it to go. You can only hope for the best outcome. Just know that if it doesn't go your way, that's okay. You're not alone. And that's what to expect the days leading up to your C-section. Now I'm going to talk about what to expect the day of your C-section. Like I mentioned in the first half of this video, depending on the hospital, you're going to choose the day of your birth. And with the day comes a time. So whatever time your hospital schedules you to have your C-section, you're going to want to go to the hospital 2 hours prior to that. For example, your doctor schedules your C-section at 8 a.m. 2 hours before 8 a.m. is 6 a.m. So you're going to want to get to the hospital by 6 a.m. You don't want to get there too early because then you'll be waiting too long. And you don't want to get there too late because then the nurses are going to feel stressed out and you're going to get overwhelmed because of the stress. Don't do that to yourself. So if you have to drive out half an hour to an hour to the hospital, make sure you count that time in too. You just want to give yourself and the staff there at the hospital enough time to be comfortable with settling in, with preparing you for the C-section. Once you get to the hospital 2 hours prior to the time scheduled for your C-section, you're going to check in. There could be a security at the front to tell you where to go for check-in, or you already did a hospital tour so you know where the check-in is, or maybe you called in advance to check in. There's a lot of different ways you can check in at the hospital, but check in so that they can let L&D, labor and delivery, know that you are there for your C-section. Once you get into the labor and delivery section of the hospital, you will meet the nurses that are on duty then and there, and they will introduce themselves, and then they'll bring you to the room that you're going to be getting ready in, because that's not necessarily the room that you'll be staying in at the hospital throughout your whole stay, but it's the room that you're going to get ready in. And nurses will ask you questions. There's going to be other nurses in there hooking you up to all your IVs, and figuring out the catheter and all that fun stuff. There's going to be nurses in there helping you out, figuring things out. They're doing all the work really. You just have to mentally be able to answer questions, get into the groove with what they're doing, because they're going to be poking you left and right. All you're really doing is lying there with your gown and just letting them do what they do, because they know what they're doing. And I'm so thankful for all the nurses that I had in labor and delivery. They are all awesome. So once you're hooked up to all the IVs and the catheter and all that fun stuff, all the different roles that play a part in your surgery, your C-section, is going to start coming in and introducing themselves to you and talking to you about what to expect and the protocols and who they are and what they do. Usually it'll be the doctor, the surgeon. They will tell you that, oh, maybe another surgeon's going to be assisting, or there's going to be training staff, because in my 3rd birth, I had like 20 million people in the OR with me because they were training. To be other nurses coming in too, because maybe they're switching shifts from evening to morning. Anesthesiologist that's going to be coming in, a pediatrician that's going to be coming in to check on your baby during the stay. Soon after you're introduced to everyone that's going to play a role in your C-section, you're going to just wait. If you're there too early, you're probably going to be waiting a while. If you're there on time, you're going to wait for maybe half an hour, maybe shorter. Really depends on how busy the hospital is. For me, in my case, that's like the most anxious part, is just waiting leading up to the C-section. So this is where you're going to want to have like conversations with your partner or whoever is with you in the room to help you get into that mental state that everything is going to be okay, everything is going to work out, or you're going to want to listen to some music, calm your nerves. Then after the waiting game is ready for the C-section. This is the second most nerve-wracking part. You going in to the operating room, you meeting and seeing all the people that you just saw tell you that you're going to get ready for surgery. It has bright lights, it's cold, it's metally, a whole bunch of people in there. Best case scenario for a C-section, you go into the OR, meet the nurses that are going to be helping with the baby, and you meet your doctor and then maybe another surgeon that's going to be assisting during that time, because usually there's two surgeons. Talk to the anesthesiologist, because they're going to be your best friend through the whole thing. They're going to be telling you when they're going to inject the anesthesia on your back, how much, and what to expect, what you're going to feel. Once they inject the anesthesia into you, you're gonna wait a little bit, lay you down, get comfortable. They're gonna put that big white sheet up or blue sheet up so that you can't see the whole surgery, and test out if the anesthesia worked. And then if it's a go, if you don't feel anything and you're numb from your chest down, your husband or your partner, whoever you choose, comes in and they get to be there with you during the whole process. You're gonna start the procedure. Anesthesiologist and the nurses are gonna be talking you through it. The doctor will also be talking you through the C-section. If everything is successful, the baby will be there. You might hear them cry, maybe not. Sometimes the doctors show the baby over the curtain. Some doctors give it straight to the pediatric doctor in there to handle the baby. The nurse will bring the baby to you, cheek to cheek or skin to skin, and then you get to hold on to your baby for a little bit. You get to see your baby for the first time. Then you get to sigh in relief because the surgery is almost done. The doctor is going to talk you through what they're going to do next, which is sewing you back up. I know. Figure things out on that side and that end. Make sure that everything is right and good and safe in there for you. You're not going to feel a thing. All you really feel is pressure and tugging and pulling, but that's really it. Once the C-section is done, they're going to wheel you in because you're numb. They're going to wheel you into the recovery room. If the recovery room is the same as your postpartum room, then that's where they will put you. They will let you be with your baby. You can start breastfeeding as soon as possible. And then you get to just enjoy your time with your newborn baby. And then you can somewhat relax, because it's not relaxing when you're in the hospital. It's really just relief. You just feel relief that everything has been done and the baby is there with you, and all of that hard work that you put in, and just yourself mentally and physically in this case, because a C-section is major abdominal surgery. That's pretty much all you can expect from the day of your C-section delivery. I hope that this video was helpful. If it was, please give it a like and don't forget to subscribe. If you want to hear more about my C-section, I linked my video on my birth stories in the description below. To end the video, I want to tell you, mama, if you are going to have a C-section for the first time, second or third, and you are anxious, you are feeling all of the emotions, I've been there. I know how you're feeling and I see you. Don't worry, you're not alone. You are the strongest, you are the bravest, and you're gonna be okay.